kick things off, I'd like to hear a little more from each of you about the way you perceive the differences between what is a marketing campaign versus what is a marketing ecosystem. So, Ryan, do you want to start that off?
Sure. I think we're all familiar with the vernacular of the campaign. In marketing, I think even consumers basically know what a marketing campaign is at this point. Really, that language came from the military, came from World War I, World War II, where you had a target, in this case, an audience, where a campaign, would be an objective that you'd be trying to, hit or take out an audience with, right? The reason that translated from the military to marketing is because it involved a lot of strategy. Really had to, military had to have strategies for how, when, and why you would pick certain places or to conduct military campaigns. In the same way, you want to be strategic in how you decide to do advertising and marketing. But our viewpoint is that that's become very antiquated. That in modern campaigns, having something that is siloed, having a objective that has a time limit to it, it feels very finite. It's very specific and doesn't take into account the holistic nature of how to really articulate a communication strategy in 2023. So instead, we think it's a lot smarter to think about an ecosystem instead, something that's organic. We use the metaphor of a garden, right? You can have, multiple different types of plants in a garden that need tending to in different ways, but that ultimately flourish and create fruit that can be long lasting and can be something that's positive to not just the consumer that your target is, but to the environment and to the ecosystem in general. So we think that's a much cleaner, nicer way, one, to talk about our relationship with consumers, but also from a strategic point of view. I think it's important to be able to, curate an audience than to bombard them. And I know Monica has a lot more to say about that.
We've always been talking about audience first, and audience, we have to have the audience to target the audience, but the ecosystem really is audience centric. So every single touch point that we talk about, let alone it be paid or organic or earned, it all has a role within the ecosystem because it grows that audience and it targets and it provides where that audience is, how they want to read it and how they want to see it, but then also be able to create and curate messages in a different way that still offer the brand value to that audience. And so the ecosystem really highlights the audience centric, and it surrounds with not just a display campaign or a social campaign. It influences the audience in all their touch points of their daily lives. And it really maps out the overall communication strategy instead of just like, okay, paid, go earn impressions, go put some PR results out, organic post on your socials. It really holistically it breaks down the barriers of, traditional advertising where you have all these cross departments, and it brings the centricity to the audience and then the planning around it without barrier. I think that's the biggest thing is how we are able to really take those touch points and make things more meaningful than really just having one touch point on one channel and this audience. We can intertwine and really make a message map and a blueprint to get the target audience to see value what the brand is offering.
I think you bring up a good point. I feel like audience first has been something that we've talked about for a long time from a digital perspective, but it's really becoming something that's having to be retired sooner rather than later because it depends so heavily on cookies, right? And so having more of this audience centric mentality is critical to bring brands into the forefront of the 21st century and being progressive marketers.